It's a 21st century dilemma. We are capturing images of Earth in unfathomable numbers, but making sense of so much data has become overwhelming. Whether using your first drone for a fire department or processing countrywide satellite images for a federal agency, how do you seamlessly gather, manage, prepare, access, and analyze it all? The answer is ArcGIS, the most advanced technology for quickly turning massive amounts of imagery and remotely sensed data into insights. Using S3 Geospatial Cloud, it provides an end-to-end fully integrated system. ArcGIS can quickly manage and create informative data from multiple source formats, projection, and can be used on any device, anywhere. It speeds up and simplifies Mac production with built-in tools to extract accurate 2D and 3D measurements. Create AutoMax dynamic mosaics and 3D meshes or views. Beginners and experts can start getting answers in no time. ArcGIS let you convert complex data into clarity in minutes, not days, and finally realize the promise of the big data revolution: faster and better decision making.
Hello and Assalamualaikum guys. Guys, have you heard about GIS and remote sensing? Yes or no? Okay, don't worry, because I am here to help you guys briefly about GIS and remote sensing. So, without further ado, let's get into it. So, GIS stands for Geographic Information System, which is computer-based tool for mapping and analyzing events on the Earth. Whereas, the remote sensing is the art and science of making measurements on the Earth using sensors on airplanes or satellites. And of course, GIS and remote sensing are two related each other in the field of geospatial analysis and environmental monitoring. However, our main goal here is to know how GIS and remote sensing apply and work in the field of environment. So for my case, we'll be focusing on Peninsular Malaysia case study. Without wasting our time, let's get into it.
Tinggal pakaian kami, lepas tu dokumen-dokumen yang penting macam apa, surat beranak anak itu je yang kami bawa. Baju sementara ni je lah, tak boleh bekalkan banyak-banyak, kita faham kan. Apa yang kita orang terfikir yang nak dapat diselamatkan itu je kita bawa. Yang penting dokumen, pengenalan diri dengan CJ anak itu je kita orang bawa. Yang lain-lain tu kita biar je lah kat dalam.
So for the main topic of this case study will be the GIS and remote sensing applications in disaster risk reduction (DRR). Let's dive into it. As we all know, Malaysia lies in a geographically stable region, relatively free of severe climate catastrophes such as earthquakes, typhoons, and volcanic eruptions, because its position is outside the ring of fire and south of major typhoon paths. However, the country is still subjected to monsoon floods, landslides, forest fire, and also man-made disasters, as it happens from time to time. These natural disasters harm properties, the environment, and human, as well as impacting the regular activities of the local communities, which 49% of the natural disasters are heavy rain and flash floods. So floods are the most devastating disasters occurring in Malaysia almost every year with high or low impacts. Some of the worst floods have occurred in the past 13 years since 2003. Those that were exceptionally bad for Malaysia were in 2006, 7, 10, 14, 17, and 20. The aim of this case study is to know how various GIS and remote sensing applications in disaster risk reduction plan and management. As you can see, there are 3 implementations for the case study on how to overcome natural disasters. The disasters management and decision-making mechanism structure during an emergency may be split into 3 scale levels: Level 1, Level 2, and Level 3. Currently, disaster management in Malaysia is governed by the National Disaster Management Agency. Disaster management in Malaysia is conventionally based almost totally on a government-centric top-down approach. Disaster causes a significant effect on communities' infrastructures and national economies, such as loss of life and enormous damage. So appropriate disaster mitigation or disaster risk reduction must be taken into account to reduce the effects. Disaster risk reduction is defined as the concept and practice of reducing disaster risk through systematic efforts to analyze and manage the causal factors of disasters. Technologies such as GIS and remote sensing can help manage disaster in an emergency situation where frontline personnel lives are at risk. GIS helps in specifying and targeting hazardous areas for mitigation or stricter management practice, while remote sensing provides satellite data for disaster management, risk detection, early warning, and damage assessment. Combining satellite data with GIS allows for critical analysis and modeling of risk in specific zones. So our sole focus here is the flood disaster. In recent years, GIS and RS are used to analyze flooding vulnerability areas, identify topography and land cover factors, and estimate property damage costs. GIS is used in flood monitoring by creating interactive maps that display graphical representation of community areas in a danger of flooding. This aids in mitigation and recovery before and after disasters. Real-time information such as rainfall and river water levels is effective in spreading flood warnings. Research by DENO used the Analytic Network Process (ANP) model to forecast disaster in Perlis, mapping floods using land use factors and detecting flooded areas using radar sat image and site surveys. Landslide is also a type of disaster that is related to change in the land slopes that happen because of subsequent development activities. Integration between GIS and remote sensing aerial photo interpretation helps in analyzing the landslide occurrence. Forest fire give severe impacts to the environment such as degradation of flora and fauna habitats, air pollution crisis, and haze. Forest fire risk modeling gives results in the fire risk zonation model of the study area and also valuable information for disaster risk reduction. And finally, GIS and remote sensing have been used extensively in analyzing geography diseases, particularly in understanding the relationship between pathogens and their geographical environments. In the COVID-19 outbreak, GIS has been used for visual representation of data, including online dashboards and near-live tracking of cases. It is crystal clear that the GIS and remote sensing technology have been proven to minimize the damages in assisting the decision makers, especially during sudden disaster events. The application of GIS and remote sensing have been applied across the devastated disaster events, in particular Malaysia. However, we cannot rely solely on the effectiveness of GIS and remote sensing technology to resolve the disaster issues, because these technologies need supporting devices such as sensors, internet, software, database, and most importantly, the interpreter.
So I think that's one of the case study that I can relate with the application of GIS and remote sensing. So guys, thank you for listening. I hope you are in good health and conditions.